They didn't scream at you. They didn't insult you. They just stopped talking. And it broke something inside you that words never could. Why? Have you ever noticed that? You can survive an argument. You can survive being told no. You can even survive being told you're wrong. But silence makes the mind do something else entirely. It makes you fill in the blanks. And the mind is not a kind narrator.
Welcome to True Stoic Journal, the path to inner control.
Let me take you back, 2,000 years. To a man named Epictetus. Born a slave. Owned by another human being. Beaten. Powerless. Voiceless, in the most literal sense. And yet, Epictetus became one of the most respected philosophers in Roman history. How? Because he understood something most people never learn. He understood the difference between silence that is forced on you, and silence that you choose. One breaks a person. The other builds one. Here's the truth modern psychology has only recently caught up to. When someone goes silent on you, a partner, a friend, a parent, your brain doesn't process it as nothing happening. It processes it as a threat. Because for most of human history, being cut off from the group meant death. No tribe. No protection. No survival. So when silence enters a relationship, your nervous system doesn't relax. It panics. It searches. It replays conversations. It asks, what did I do wrong? And that search rarely finds peace. It finds anxiety. This is why silence, used cruelly, is one of the most quietly devastating tools a person can wield. Psychologists call it the silent treatment. The Stoics called it something else. They called it a mirror. Because here is the deeper truth in this story. The pain of someone else's silence is not actually coming from them. It's coming from your own uncertainty. Marcus Aurelius wrote something that still humbles emperors and beggars alike. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Read that again. Not you have power over what people do to you. Power over your mind. The silence someone gives you is outside your control. But the meaning you assign to it, that's yours. Entirely yours. Now, I want to be clear about something, because this is where most people misunderstand Stoicism. The Stoics were not saying ignore people. Shut them out. Punish them with silence. That is not strength. That is control disguised as peace. The Stoics were talking about a different kind of silence entirely. The silence of restraint. The silence of a person who has mastered their tongue, not because they have nothing to say, but because they have learned that not every thought deserves a voice. Seneca put it simply, we suffer more in imagination than in reality. Most arguments you've ever regretted happened because silence was not available to you in that moment. You said the thing. Because staying quiet felt unbearable. But the Stoics trained themselves, daily, to sit inside that discomfort. To let the urge to speak rise, and pass, without acting on it. Think about the last time you were deeply hurt by someone's silence. Maybe a message left unread for 3 days. Maybe a friend who stopped calling. Maybe a parent who, growing up, simply stopped talking to you when they were disappointed. That silence taught you something. Whether you realized it or not. It taught your nervous system that silence equals danger. And so now, as an adult, even small silences from people you love can trigger a response that feels disproportionate to what's actually happening. This is not weakness. This is conditioning. And the Stoics believed conditioning could be undone. Not through avoidance. Through practice. Here is a Stoic exercise, used for over 2,000 years, that can change how silence affects you. It's called the view from above. When silence from another person starts to consume your thoughts, step back, mentally, and imagine watching the situation from far above. You, in a room. Them, wherever they are. Two small figures in a much larger world. From that height, does the silence still feel like the center of the universe? Or does it start to shrink into what it actually is, a moment? Not a verdict on your worth. The Stoics used this to strip emotional events of the exaggerated meaning the mind attaches to them. Not to feel nothing, but to feel accurately. There's a second kind of silence I want to talk about. The most powerful kind. The silence you choose to give someone who has wronged you. Not out of spite. Out of discipline. Because Marcus Aurelius understood something most people never will. How much trouble he avoids by not looking to see what his neighbor says or does. When you stop needing to respond to every insult, every provocation, every attempt to pull you into conflict. You take back something that was never theirs to take in the first place. Your peace. Silence, chosen, not silence, forced, becomes armor. It becomes proof that you are no longer controlled by the need to be heard, understood, or validated by everyone around you. This is the paradox the ancient Stoics lived by. Silence can be the loudest thing you've ever experienced. Or it can be the quietest form of power you've ever held. The difference is not in the silence itself. It's in who is holding it. If silence is happening to you, and it's consuming your mind, remember this, their silence is a reflection of them. Not a verdict on you. If silence is something you are choosing, to protect your peace, to stop feeding conflict, to master your own tongue, that is Stoicism in its purest form. Not the absence of words. The presence of control. So the next time silence enters your life, from someone else, or from your own restraint, don't ask, what does this silence mean about me? Ask instead, what kind of person do I want to be inside this silence? Because 2,000 years ago, a slave with no voice in society became one of history's most enduring philosophers by mastering the one thing no one could ever take from him. Not his freedom. Not his circumstances. His mind. If this brought you a moment of clarity today, subscribe to True Stoic Journal. Every week, we bring you daily Stoic wisdom, real philosophy, applied to real life, to help you build the kind of inner strength that no silence, and no person, can ever take from you.